This is on Continental. Yesterday, this one is on Evolution. What brand is this? Cooper tires. Alright. Yep. CX-5. Facelift. The facelift didn't happen in the interior, but this is still a very high quality interior. Okay, now we cannot compare this to the modern crops of EVs and all that, right? So nevertheless, the buttons, I mean, put aside that we are familiar with this car, all right, in order to judge it fairly. That means whether the knobs, the buttons, the feel of all these, these feel like BMWs. Mazda openly told us they are great admirers of BMW, but BMWs no longer have these high quality buttons. It's all the flimsy plastic single panel now. And this one doesn't have the LCDs, it's just straight up analog dials. This is very familiar, very old, very easy to use. You see this, you turn the knob and they turn, and then you arrive and you press. Nothing much to play with. And this one toggles up and down like a joystick. So you go up to select left, right and all that, and then you come down, up. Yep. Okay, let's drive. Alright, let's go. The one thing that I always like about Mazdas is the throttle pedal feel and the way the transmission shifts and the whole perfect, it's not tuning, it's calibration. The perfect calibration of Mazdas. When you drive them, they just feel so nice. Yes, I mean it's not a turbocharged engine, okay, so you don't get that turbocharged kick, but most of the time people do kick downs on test drive sessions, right? 1 month, 2 months into their cars, they just use it normally and you will appreciate the smoothness, okay? And of course the Sky Active engines are no slouch. They are extremely fuel efficient. This is well proven. Sky Active engines debuted around 2012 or 13, and over the course of the lifespan, the petrol engines fitted to all these CX-5s and all that, they are reliable. So, and the best part is the transmission. If you were to go for a spirited drive, you will feel that they know when to downshift. Like even if you're just driving straight, I mean I'm talking about gunting, and then there is a slight downhill, alright, the car will detect that there is a downhill, and then the moment you start turning your steering wheel at a supposed angle, before you even trail your braking, the car already drops its gears. It's very smart. So I distinctly remember back in 2016, I was invited by Mazda to Hiroshima, which is where their HQ was. Just a plug-in and added information. When the bomb dropped in Hiroshima, the buildings were all demolished. But luckily, somehow, Mazda's factory was well intact. And that was when the whole government function of Hiroshima, the government literally operated out of Mazda's factory to run the city, to do all the, the work of helping everybody and rebuilding the city. Basically, the rebuilding of Hiroshima started outward from Mazda's factory. So Mazda has stayed in Hiroshima ever since. Anyway, that was what I learned during that trip. Another thing that I learned during that trip was specifically for GVC. we were there to test drive the prototype versions of Mazda GVC, the G vectoring control, right? So we have cars that we can switch on and switch off the GVC and doing slaloms to feel the difference, because Mazda, their understanding of cars handling dynamics is at such a high level that they began doing things that are so minute that if you are not an experienced enough motoring journalist or car tester or whatnot, right, it will be rather difficult for you to feel the differences. But on day-to-day driving, it will be something like you will feel that the car drives really well, just that you do not know how to explain what you felt. All right, so that was an eye-opening thing. The other thing is, I was given the CX-5, this CX-5, to follow a 1.5 MX-5 around the short track that they have, you know, so that the MX-5 maintains its pace while all I need to do is just to keep up. And that track was specifically designed for me to experience how the car turns, how the car weight transfer sits and all that. It was a wonderful experience as well, you know. Now all these things that they let us test has to be separated from, you know, like let's say you buy a new Mazda and it comes with these tires, and then you decided to upgrade your tires, some Michelin PS4 SUVs. Of course, obviously, your car would, you know, grip better, stop better, corner better and all that. But it's the fundamentals of the chassis, of how they design their cars, you know, that part was really eye-opening. And yeah, and they have they have another track, a very short track, but it's a very unique track. Involves extreme downhills and then uphills and then curving downhill bends and then uphill again. That was a very eye-opening experience. That one, they have a list of cars over there. I remember there is the X-Trail, Nissan X-Trail. There is also the Audi Q3. There is also, I forgot what other cars are there. I think there is a BMW X1 as well, you know. And then there is the new generation Mazda CX-5. And the test for that track is they have little signs that looks like these that says 10 km/h. And then after a certain stretch, you see another sign that says 20 km/h. And then you have another sign that says 30 km/h. So the test of that, the Japanese engineers tell me, the Japanese engineers from the Jinba Itai division, yes, no joke, they have a division called Jinba Itai. And the engineers told me, you just drive the car out, and when you see 10 km/h, regardless of the road condition up front, you try your best to keep your throttle at 10 km/h. Alright? And then negotiate the turn. And then when you see the sign 20 km/h, you proceed to 20 km/h. You know, if it goes up or goes down the speed, you just follow that track. And I tell you, I never knew it was such a struggle for all the other cars to do that test, you know, whereas it is so much easier for us in these Mazdas to modulate our throttle there, and then from the road condition, the car just knows how to shift its gears, alright, to help us maintain our speed. Now in the Malaysia context, it may be different, but try to think of you as someone who stay in a snowy area in Japan during winter seasons, alright? You need to maintain a certain speed, but then the road, you know, you may go downhill, you may negotiate a turn, and then you go uphill and all that. And that was really, really eye-opening, let me tell you that. And all of us came off amazed from a track without going more than 40 km/h, and all of us had such an experience of understanding further, you know, the intrinsics of a proper handling car, why a certain car makes you feel awesome when you drive them. Because at the end of the day, when you buy a car, it is a 7-year, 6-year, or 8-year thing, right? Now, as time goes by, whether your interior has Napa leather or whether your interior has some metal plated neural patterns and all those things no longer matter, because as humans, we get used to things pretty quickly and then we don't give two thoughts about it. Tell me if you are someone who owns a Rolls Royce or someone who owns a Porsche or a Ferrari. You know, the first time you go into your Ferrari, you'll be like, wow, it's carbon fiber here, Alcantara there, and all that, you know, the switches and all that, the pedal shifters, blah, blah, blah. But after a certain number of years, all these things no longer matter. What matters is whether your car was designed to be nice to drive or not. That is the most important thing. And when it's nice to drive, you will have a better time behind the wheel, and you just smile more often. You know, when you're driving your car, you're more likely to pick up the car key, you know, the one that pleases you the most or puts a smile on your face. Even the throttle, the brake pedal modulation, you know, Mazda's GVC also reduce the dipping when you are braking. You know, certain cars, when you are braking, you dip, and then when you accelerate, it dips the back. And this was translated into what, you know, into your head. Imagine this is a side view of the head. When you brake, your head would do a little bit of that, and your neck muscle would automatically strengthen a little bit to counteract. And then when you accelerate, your head would do that a bit. You know, they even go to this extent to study how a driver feels comfortable driving long periods of time over the course of many years. So this is the extent with which they go out to. You know, that's Mazda. All right. So all these things are in the car that you buy, not just whether it has a fancy big digital screen, not just whether it has all the fancy stuff that is glittered all over the car to attract you to drop your booking when you walk into the showroom. That is why I always say that Mazda is a brand that sometimes is very difficult to convey the money that you spent on them on a piece of brochure. Yeah, that was over the past 10 years, my conclusion of what Mazda cars are. It's just so difficult to tell people. I mean, all this effort, and then a certain car with a big boot or big something, and then multiple USB ports, blah blah and all that, and then that gets the deal. Alright, of course, Mazdas are known to be a car maker that, you know, they don't give you the largest space, largest everything in you know, all that, but owners will know, you know, they are such a joy to drive, right? Okay, let's go at a faster speed. I just want to tell people the things that are difficult to tell, and of course a salesman wouldn't be able to properly convey it to you. Alright, so they are as a mass market Japanese brand, they put a lot of effort in their paint work, you know, in mixing their paint color, and then to manage their costs, and then to provide you with an interior that is built with high quality materials and all that. Albeit this generation is a bit aged, but then if you are considering these type of cars, this segment of cars, this is your budget and all that, you shouldn't discount it yet. I would suggest Mazda salespeople don't go for the usual, you know, 20-minute, 30-minute test drive. You know, don't go for that. Don't just find an empty highway and then ask the customer to go full throttle and all that. Because if you go to an empty road, that's all they do, a full throttle, and then hard cornering and all that. Not every customer does that. Not every person drives like that. So try and experience it yourself. Bring the car to a traffic jam area, you know, notice how the car rolls off, how it brakes. All these things are important, and give it an extended test drive, because the qualities of a nice driving car is hard to be it's hard to come out from a short test drive session. Alright, yeah, so yeah, I have no complaints with how their cars drive. So used to this interior design. I still remember when it first came out a couple of years ago. It is fancy because never have we seen a Japanese mass market car having these sort of metal enclosure for aircon vents that feels cold to the touch, like metal and all that. These are all only available in premium cars, right? And then Mazda was the first one who has it. But it's been how many years now since this car debuted? It's been about 6 or 7 years, and we're all used to this already. We don't feel it as something new or special anymore. In fact, the interior design of Japanese or Korean or China cars has improved so much, okay, in this time and age, 2024. But it's the way it drives that, you know, this car just smooth and all that. Okay, now traffic jam. Let's try. If I can do this, increase the distance, and lane keep assist. Okay, so the car is maintaining itself in the middle of the lane, a bit towards the left actually. Stop by itself. See, I'm not applying the brakes. I'm not on the brakes at all. And if I press resume, okay, I touch the throttle a little bit, and then it continues on, and then it's still green light. The lane keep assist, it is still keeping me in the middle of the lane. And just following the car in front. Okay, what I notice now, it is the type where it bounces you off. Let me observe further. So now the car is completely operating the steering and the throttle and the braking all by itself, without me intervening, asking me to hold the steering wheel a little bit, and then it continues on. Of course, I'm doing a test, okay? So I am being very careful. My eyes are always on the rear view mirror, on my side mirror, just to make sure no motorcycles or whatnot is coming. Let's reduce the distance to only one bar. Now the car accelerates towards the car in front, keeping its distance. Let's see the distance of 1 bar at 35 km/h, okay? No motorcycles from behind. Okay, the car is getting a little bit nearer to the left side. Okay. It's alright. It's certainly better than a few of the Chinese cars that I tried recently, but still not up to the level of the more familiar one, you know, the Volvo GD group, you know. This is alright. Stops the car entirely. No warning, nothing. Now when the car starts moving, I'm not even pressing on the brakes, you see? I'm not on the brakes. Touch it a little bit, and it continues on. Not bad. I mean, for traffic jam, this feature is a godsend. So if your daily commute involves a lot of traffic jam, trust me, you must get a car with adaptive cruise control, with traffic jam sort of assist features. That means at a lower speed it is still able to operate this. A lot of these adaptive cruise control, right, they cannot be activated below a certain speed. Okay, I'm very happy this one can, and so far it's alright. keeps me in the middle of the lane, albeit it's a little bit towards the left side. Okay, I brake now. I intervene the car because the HRV went out and went back in, and I noticed the car is accelerating. So do take note, this is a feature for convenience, not for negligence. Okay, you do not turn on this feature and not care about whatever around you. All right, this is to ease you, not to replace you. Okay, as the speed climbs up, because the traffic is easing, it's better to increase the distance. Now, I don't think it has a dynamic, it is dynamic to speed, but probably I'm wrong. Okay, so yep, now the car is turning its wheels by reading the lane markers. Another thing is that I activate this feature because I can clearly see the road markers are pretty clear. Alright, so approve. This is a good system. Good enough. Alright. Had the car for 4 days. Look at the fuel consumption. Wow. 黏黏的你的手 Seatbelts please. 等一下，没，爸爸很喜欢这个门啊，开很大的。90 degrees. Okay, watch your leg. Oops. Oh, leaf.